Hey friends, in today's short form video, I'm going to talk about the resilience stat in Destiny 2 and how influential it is in PvE. Now, I'm not much of a PvE player, that goes without saying, but I could be if it was improved, and things like this keep me from religiously playing PvE. So while I was working on some videos this morning, I was watching or listening in the background Fallout Plays video. The Destiny 2 community is fighting again, this time about resilience in the current state of D2. Summary being that there's a vocal part of the community that says, alright, if you think resilience is so influential and it ruins your enjoyment of PvE, just don't use it. But the problem with that is I don't play PvE for enjoyment anyway. It's just not where I want it to be. And since I can't change the game, I play a different game entirely for PvE. The problem is I like PvP in Destiny 2. So, I have to get gear for PvP, which means I have to interact with PvE. I'm going to choose a strategy that is a mix of fast, efficient, and easy. And resilience is always in the plan. You always max it out. The only time that you don't max out resilience is if you're going to get one shot anyway. But the problem is, there's not really an alternative stat to choose. You can't magically up your damage for not going resilience. In fact, if we go to my Destiny item manager, let me show you this. I'm going to show you my PvE armor. I'm just going to search PvE here. You're going to notice a trend with all of my PvE armor. I don't have much PvE armor, but I have a lot of PvP armor. In fact, I was at 600 slots today, and most of it was Hunter armor. I deleted majority of my PvP armor after organizing my Season 19 builds. Yeah, I finished. I think I have one more Gemini Jester thing to add, but I'll do that later once I have Artifice armor. And that's an entirely different video topic of the future build crafting stuff and how Artifice armor is just going to be a non-decision for me and maybe ruin some of the reward, but is also better for builds, so I'm going to do it anyway. I'll talk about that another time. But you will see, the trend of all my PvE armor is just go resilience and then no other stat matters. I don't care about discipline, intellect, or strength because our characters are so power crept, I can just fly through holding forward any activity in the game, and that's why I'm not interested in PvE. And before you're like, well, just play a different game. I do play a different game for PvE. I play Phantasy Star Online too. Have it on in the background while I idle anyway. But why did I make today's short form video? It's to say that in a PC Gamer article, link in the description below, they say they're tuning the resilience tier 10 from a 40% reduction to a 30% reduction. So for me, effectively, that doesn't change anything. Now, how does a PvE game like Phantasy Star solve this same issue? Well, it's pretty simple. If you look at my armor here, this is a very tanky piece of armor. 9.1 damage resist. You don't have to worry about what any of these numbers do, but if you look at the perks on it, it says damage resistance +2, damage resistance, damage resistance, damage resistance. Somewhere here. The thing is, if you go an offensive perk, you get a higher bonus to your attack style, but you get less damage resistance. And in the case of some armor, you have negative damage resistances to begin with, or very low damage resistances. And if you want more potency, more damage, more power, you lose damage resistance. So the harder your character hits, the harder you get hit. You become a glass cannon. And so in the case of Destiny 2, I think that's what the resilience stat needs. The higher it goes, the less damage you receive, but slightly less damage you output, or it could stay the same. But on the flip side, the lower resilience you go, in fact, if you want to tank it completely and go 0, you get a very, very, very small damage bonus to make players rewarded for playing aggressively. And it doesn't have to be a giant bonus, right? Anytime something suggested like this that is a let's say, a skill-based benefit, players are up in arms and are mad, but it could be something really small, anywhere from like 1 to 5%. And before you're like, well, that's not much of a difference whatsoever. I think it is a difference in certain lost sectors. I run a lot of lost sectors for exotic armor. And so if I could get a 1 to 5% damage bonus, that could mean a Gjallarhorn rocket being the difference between killing a major in one shot. It could be the difference between a hand cannon with frenzy one-shotting a low-tier ad or something like that. And to me, that would just save so much time in the lost sector over hundreds of runs that 1 to 5% is worth it without even being distinguishable by a casual player. Like, they're not going to notice that difference of a bonus, and they probably wouldn't even notice that difference if it was a minus. So if they were 10 resilience and they had minus 5% damage output, they probably wouldn't even notice that. But what they will notice is not getting one shot by the whole room and living in activities. So anyway, that's just my hot take for today. So the summary of this video is changing the resilience tier 10 from 40% to 30% doesn't change anything. I'm always going to default to 10 resilience because I don't know if I'm going to get one shot by something, and until the other stats are worth investing into and make a significant difference in the clear time of an activity, I'm just going to default to 10 resilience.